Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to voice over some of my training and share some thoughts with you all as I'm getting to this, 4.5 to 5 weeks out from the North American Championships. And one of this thing it's a recurring theme, and it can be scary for newer powerlifters, or it can at least make them uneasy. And that's the idea that peaking for a competition is going to get uncomfortable, and you have to kind of put yourself at ease with that and accept that it's going to happen. Now, what I mean by that is the whole concept of peaking is to get your body to its maximum potential for meet day that you possibly can, to lift as much weight as possible. And part of that equation is going to be to really push the limits as far as you can, as far as the weights, and also fatigue at certain points. And right before the meet, you're going to do something that's called a taper, where you pull back some of the weight and the reps and hopefully drop that fatigue right into the competition, to where you are basically most prepared on competition day while also holding as little fatigue as possible. So it's this balance going in. But because in order to get that last ramp up in performance, you have to push the fatigue up, the byproduct of that is you're going to start to feel beat up as a lifter. And there are other variables that play into this, right? For example, me, I'm 11 or 12 weeks into prep at this point. So I've been training hard for 11 to 12 weeks, and I'm still 5 weeks out. So by the time the meet rolls around, that'll be 17 weeks of very concentrated, very focused preparation for the meet and heavy lifting. Those can stack up on your joints. So for me this week, I just started to tell that my knees were starting to ache a little bit, right? Nothing that affected my performance, but just in everyday movement. And as I was getting warmed up, my knees were a little extra achy. This is a common thing for me, right? I'm missing an ACL and I have a torn meniscus, both of which that I never got repaired. And that kind of contributes to some knee discomfort in my right knee. And as the fatigue goes up, that discomfort always tends to go up, and tendonitis comes with that. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, for me as to telling when my fatigue rises. Now, the other variable that is at play, I'm starting to drop my calories a bit to lose weight into this meet, and my body's changing, right? Body composition's changing, leverages change. So you're getting used to that. That may feel a little off here and there between sessions. So it's worth knowing and expecting these things. And if you're a new lifter and you start to run into these hiccups, it can be scary, because you're like, you know what, crap, I'm 4 weeks out, I'm 2 weeks out, and I feel like complete garbage. And it can get in your head as far as your performance. Now, something that I've learned over my 25 to 30 plus meets that I've done at this point, you just have to expect it. And I fully expect that 2 weeks out is kind of the pinnacle of me feeling bad, right? From here on to 2 weeks out, I fully expect the discomfort to ramp up as the weights ramp up. And the caveat is, if I can survive my training 2 weeks out where it's at its absolute heaviest, then I know I'm in the clear, no matter how much I'm sore or hurting. Because for those final 2 weeks, that's when the taper starts to take hold, and that fatigue will slowly dissipate, right? And because I got all of the heavy training out of the way up until 2 weeks out, that's the skill progression, right? I've built as much as I can up until the 2 weeks out, And then don't get me wrong, we still train and we train hard 1 week out, and I have a couple training sessions the week of the meet, but that stuff is really not building any more strength. It is just refining as we taper and lose that fatigue and start to feel better. The last thing I want to mention is if you're doing a water cut the week of, fully expect to feel terrible. And whenever I'm cutting water weight, my joints ache, my knees ache. I think it's just part of the process there. And early on, those aches and pains would make me nervous. I'd be like, am I going to perform up to my expectations? Is this going to affect me on meet day? And the same thing with immediately after you weigh in, you're jamming in the water, the food, you're going to feel sick to your stomach. You need to separate that from you on the platform and just trust that hour before, once you start warming up, that everything's going to be okay. So hopefully that shared some insight with you all, and you can kind of draw a connection there. Even I start to feel beat up leading into a peak for a meet. I think it's part of the process, but you have to work on not letting it get to your head on meet day. So thank you all for watching. Drop a like and comment down below. What are your experiences in the peak leading up to the meet as far as you feel? Okay, so I'll see you all in the next one, and until next time, happy lifting.